On the agenda tonight, we're going back to 1963. We're going to be taking a look at Judy Garland, and she's going to be performing It's Almost Like Being in Love. Hello, Phil here from Wings of Pegasus, and welcome to another analysis video. If you enjoy this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. So this performance is just 3 minutes and 11 seconds in length, so we'll watch it the whole way through and get into the analysis afterwards. So let's get Judy up on screen and see how she gets on.
What a day this has been. What a rare mood I'm in. Why, it's almost like being in love. There's a smile on my face for the whole human race. Why, it's almost like being in love. All the music of life seems to be like a bell that is ringing for me. And from the way that I feel when that bell starts to peal, I could tell I was falling. I would swear I was falling. It's almost like being in love. Almost like being in love. Almost. It's almost. But this can't be love because I feel so well. No sobs, no sorrows, no sighs. This can't be love. I get no dizzy spell. My head is not in the skies. My heart does not stand still. Hear it beat. This is too sweet to be love. This can't be love because I feel so well, and yet I love to love. Glad I'm alive, love to live, think I'll survive. There's a smile on my face for the whole human race. All the music of life seems to be like a bell that is ringing for me. And from the way that I feel when that bell starts to peal, I could tell I was falling. I would swear I was falling. It's almost like being in love. Almost like being in love.
And there we have it. As you can see, the video is about to cut out, but what a performance, and there is so much in there that you could go through this performance, as with probably all of Judy's performances, with a fine-tooth comb, pointing out just the things that she did so well and so differently to other singers, and just being such a talented actor as well from such a young age. I'm going to be looking at this performance and breaking down her vocal because it is so strong, and we're really going to be breaking down her vibrato, the control of that technique, her control of frequency, but also the way that she varies it. And this is something that I've never seen in a performance before with an analysis on this channel, the way that Judy would change her vibrato. The frequency always stayed the same pretty much, but she would go below the note and also above the note, and sometimes below the note and above the note in the same vibrato, in the same phrase. But before we get into the stylizations and the application of vibrato, we're going to jump into Judy's tone vocally and the way that she would put those acting skills into a performance so that you connected with her on such a deep level because of the way that she would act out the lyrical content of the song. And this being a great example of it because she's so animated and there is so much in Judy's eyes that she connects with people in the audience, but even watching this from an angle where she's not looking directly at you, you're just so invested in the performance and engaged because of the way that Judy acts it out. When we talk about her tone, a really important thing to mention is the fact that her talking voice and her singing voice are so similar. And the reason this is so important is because when somebody's talking to you, you connect to whatever they're saying because they are raising and lowering their pitch depending on what they're saying and depending on whether they're shouting or speaking very softly. You get so much from the way somebody's speaking as to the meaning of what they're talking about and the message that they're trying to send to you through the words that they're saying. It's exactly the same in music. Judy was one of those singers whose singing voice wasn't all that different to her speaking voice. Even in pitch terms, she wasn't going massively higher than where she would normally talk, being in this contralto range, but also, you might have seen other singers who would be interviewed and they'd be talking for quite a long time. You get used to their voice, and then as soon as they start singing, they'll go, oh, and it'll be something totally different to how you've heard them speaking. And you might find it difficult to connect with them emotionally because you sense their voice isn't their real voice. And it does tend to be something that happens a lot in classical music, opera, musical theatre as well, maybe sometimes where there's more drama placed on the voice, so you hear them talking in a particular way and then the voice doesn't quite connect because it sounds like it's literally somebody else singing. Whereas Judy was so similar. And a great example of this is the way that she would act and be in musicals where The Wizard of Oz, the classic example of going from talking within a scene straight into a song, but that vocal of the song being so relatable to the voice you've already heard in the previous scene where she was acting. And it's such a unique skill to have, to be able to cover so much range, but also control of vocal techniques within a tone that is so similar to your talking tone. Just to throw in there about The Wizard of Oz, because Judy was 16 years of age when she played that role and sang those songs, and I have mentioned in other videos about musicals having songs written for them by people that don't necessarily sing. So they'll just write out the notes and expect the singer to be able to hit those notes. And The Wizard of Oz is a great example of that. Some really demanding songs, but even just taking Somewhere Over the Rainbow, the first two notes of that song are an octave apart. And you'll know on this channel, I mentioned about all the top singers, when they generally start in a verse of a song, by the time they get to a chorus, they have gone through a whole octave range-wise, and the top singers have that ability to cover that range. And when we're talking about Somewhere Over the Rainbow, the first two notes are an octave apart. So we go, somewhere, and you got to go all the way up to that octave. So obviously, you wouldn't sing it like that if you were singing it properly, but to give you an indication of that rise up by an octave, it's something that obviously Judy sings there, and you don't notice that those notes are an octave apart because of that tonal consistency throughout her range and her voice. But some of the most demanding songs to sing are in musicals and are in musical theatre, and this is why you find that a lot of singers who performed in musicals and performed on stage in the West End and on Broadway, they have great vocal technique to the point of being operatic and trained in that way of singing so that they can control their range, their vibrato, their expression, their volume as well, in order to hit these notes and belt out notes if they need to, but also sing really softly as well. They've got that total classical range technique-wise in their voice, but have applied it to a contemporary setting. I've cued the video to a particular point because we're going to be listening to Judy sing through a few vocal phrases at normal speed, and then we'll listen to it again at half speed, because when you listen to it at half speed, you get such a great appreciation of the way that Judy used her vibrato in almost an operatic sense, certainly musical theatre, because you will find dramatic vibrato in that style of singing, but she's applying it here to a jazz performance, and it is so well applied you won't notice it because she does it so well at normal speed. You just get into the performance, but then we will stop the video and watch it again at half speed. But let's have a listen.
Why, it's almost like being in love. All the music of life seems to be like a bell that is ringing for me.
And there we have it. Just to mention before we listen to this, I haven't edited this in any way. This is literally just the same audio you've listened to, but at half the speed.
Why, it's almost like being in love. All the music of life seems to be like a bell that is ringing for me.
And there we have it. So a lot easier to spot when it's at half speed. The fact that Judy uses that vibrato going below the note, but also above the note, and sometimes it's a blend of the two. So we've got this going from the note, below the note. I know I've demonstrated this before, but this, and also the, and then going between those two. I've just queued the video back because I want to listen again to the vocal phrase seems to be, and listen out for that last word, because Judy starts with her vibrato below the note and then starts to open it up to go above the note. And the only way that this is possible is by having total control of that vibrato technique, as Judy definitely had. Let's have a listen.
Seems to be.
And there we have it. If you listen out for it, we've got that seems to be. And then that really dramatic vibrato comes in. I'll do that again a little bit more slowly. So the first part of that B phrase and the word, we've got the vibrato really subtle going below the note. Seems to be. And then you can start to hear where it opens out. Like I said, total control that Judy has. And when you're listening to a singer that has this kind of ability, she can take you on any journey that she wants to emotionally, because she's got every way of expressing her voice and the lyrical content of a song. So you might be thinking, why is it so hard to spot this dramatic change in pitch when we're listening to it at normal time? And the answer is always perfect frequency, and Judy nails her frequency of vibrato. It is so smooth. And when I say that she nails the frequency of vibrato, what I mean is she's hitting the peaks and the troughs of the notes and the pitch that she's covering with almost and probably actual metronome accuracy of going 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. She'll be hitting the peaks and troughs that accurately. And we are going to be listening now to the crescendo of the song. Just listening to her voice, listen out for the frequency of her vibrato. Also, look out for her mental imagery when she's singing, because she just ascends with her note pitch-wise. And like I said, it's the top note of the song is the crescendo, but she does a little point with her finger in order to visually see that note going up, and then opens out her hand in order to fill that sound with her voice. It's a fascinating little insight into the way that Judy sees notes and gets her vocal cords to do what she wants them to do by just imagining the note raising up and opening out. But let's have a listen to this. And there we have it. There's so much in a singer's body language, but also have a look at the way that Judy breathes in before this elongated phrase that she's about to sing, because she knows she not only needs the breath in order to hold the note for as long as she wants to, but she needs the diaphragmatic support to take her note up halfway through that vocal phrase. So there's a big breathe in, and then she really leans into it. But let's have another listen. And there we have it. It is 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. That vibrato is so solid. It is spot on. It's perfect. From Judy, that frequency, like I said, you can set a metronome to this. And when you're listening to somebody sing and they're applying vibrato, but it's not even, you won't connect to it as much because it'll sound a bit awkward. It's all about smoothing out those waves so that the pitch change is smooth and you're hitting each peak and trough at a particular frequency. And Judy just has this natural ability. I do think that her vibrato was natural. She would just let it happen and it just hit a perfect frequency by itself. But then she also had the ability to control the pitch of it. When I say that it was something that's natural, this is how people learn to sing. They watch a fantastic singer with great natural ability and break down the techniques to see what they're doing. So now, if you want to learn to sing and apply vibrato in this manner, we know what's happening. Judy just so happened to produce this naturally, but you can start to take your notes and go, and start to apply that even wave of vibrato and hit the same frequency. And it's a way to learn to sing. Even if you don't have that natural ability, you can learn from the greatest singers of all time like Judy and just take some of their techniques, analyze what they're doing, apply it to your own singing. You can just mix and match and start to experiment with it and find a frequency vibrato that you like and that works with your voice in order to get the best out of your voice. Just to put it in perspective, that when she was 16 years of age in The Wizard of Oz, she already had this acting ability and vocal ability. She started singing at a very young age. On Wikipedia, it says that her first performance was at age 2. Not that she would be able to remember that, but she used to perform with her sisters as well. She had 2 older sisters, and they were known as the Gum Sisters. That was their stage name. They'd go out and perform as a singing and dancing act. And it just so happened that I think they were once introduced as the Glum Sisters by accident. So they decided they needed a name change and changed that to the Garland Sisters. And Judy was originally Frances, but changed her name to Judy from that point onwards. And she was signed by MGM at the age of 13. So that would be 3 years before The Wizard of Oz. To have that much exposure with The Wizard of Oz at age 16, I know that they wanted the character in the movie to look a little bit younger than 16. So they made her dress with all the squares and quite big in order to hide her more developed frame. I'm not sure what kind of age they were placing the character at, but I think Judy was just spot on for that role, especially vocally and acting, just the whole package. And ever since then, 1939 was The Wizard of Oz. And you forget that it was that long ago because it just stands the test of time, and also the way that it changes into color as well. Just groundbreaking stuff, but 1939, really from then onwards, Judy's career just exploded. Sadly, when she was 13 years of age and signed by MGM, that's when her father suddenly passed away, which must have hit her very hard, being so young. And just moving into the late 30s, early 40s, her career exploded, and you don't need me to tell you all of the things that she achieved and how huge a star she was and will always be known for the rest of time. But thank you guys so much for suggesting this video for me to take a look at, and keep those suggestions coming in the comments below. Let me know what you guys think, and if you did enjoy this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe, and I'll see you guys at the next one. Rock!